That's it. That's the prompt that we're looking for. Right. Okay. So, football. We've got
Uh-oh.
England playing. We've got England playing tonight, bro.
Yeah, we have. I think
Oh,
my England
yes.
shirt, England shirt's up behind me there, which you can see.
Yeah.
I hope you
I
can
can
see
see.
them.
I can see them. Yes, I can see them. Yeah.
Good,
I'm
good.
so excited. I'm so excited. I said to Jeanette, and I've said that I said it only to her because I should have put it somewhere online where it be date stamped. I said online. Well, I said to my wife, I said, the finals is going to be between England, and that was before Spain and France played. I said the finals is going to be between England and Spain, and it's going to be a repeat of the Euros of 2 years
Yeah,
ago, where we lost to Spain. But
yeah.
I said this time Spain's going to lose to us. That's what I said. And I was watching the France game, and she kept saying to me, I said, "Who do you think's going to win this?" And she said, "Oh, France got it all the way. France has got it all." This was before the game started. I said,
Yeah,
"I don't." I said, "I don't think so." I said, "If France wins, that means England wouldn't be playing in the finals." I said, "But if France loses, England is playing in the finals." And she said, "Well, I don't think England's playing in the finals then, because France has got this has got France reading all over it." I said, "Even the finals,"
Mm.
she said, "Yeah." She said, "They're going to win it." I said, "No, they're not." And so what do you make of the game? France, Spain.
Well, yeah, it was an interesting game, wasn't it? Where I can understand Jeanette saying she thought France would win, and a lot of people have thought they would have won the World Cup as well, because I think it's true to say they've been the sort of standout team so far of the tournament. They've been textbook really in their passing, their goal scoring, and so on. So I would say the pundits generally. I don't listen to the pundits to be honest, but I would have said most pundits would have had France not only to win that game, but possibly to win the actual cup, the World Cup itself. So yeah, I don't think it was a bad shout to say France to win that game last night. In the event, it was a bit of a mystery, I thought, because they didn't play France, that is, they didn't play to their potential. They didn't play, none of their players really looked the same as they've done in most of the previous games. And indeed, I was reading this morning that Mbappe, their top man really, had a real go after the match about the manager, um, Didier Deschamps, who's been a manager for a few years and has been pretty successful. But he said, Mbappe said his tactics were sloppy, and he had a real go at his teammates as well. I suppose it's in the immediate aftermath of
Mm.
a frustrating defeat in the semi-final of the World Cup. But actually, Mbappe was no, he was no, he wasn't great on the pitch either. He missed
Yeah.
a couple of shots he had, and a free kick went way over the bar. Which again, for a player of his caliber, you'd have thought he would have at least had it on target. But no, France didn't look like the France we've been watching. People like Elise, who I've got a particular affection for because he was a Palace player. Although I still say, I mean, for France, he's been playing up front in the middle, pretty much. Very occasionally coming out to the wing, which is where I think his best position is. I think that's where he plays at Bayern Munich, and he's a tremendous winger. The pace, his ability to get round people, and then he cuts in very often to go onto his left foot and smacks a goal in. Well, if you play like any player, if you play them not in their natural position, you're not necessarily going to get the best out of them. So I don't
Mm.
think that helps France. But even players like Dembele, who's been magnificent
Yeah.
throughout this tournament, he just was off key. Apart from one pass I remember, which could have come to a goal, he did nothing. He just put the ball away. Whereas conversely, Spain, who yeah, I mean, let's face it, we always know Spain are a very good side. I think they won the World Cup in 2010, so they're trying to win it again now and have got to the final. So they're a very good side, but you still wouldn't have given them the advantage, I would have thought, over France. But be that as it may, that's what happened. But the point is, when I mean, I caught the pundits for a few moments afterwards when all the adverts had finished,
Mm,
and they came back. And as I say, I don't like watching the pundits. They can talk sense. They're so-called experts. They played the game, etc. But ultimately, I'm interested in watching the action and making my own judgment on what I see. But what little I did see was that they kind of were saying, "Well, what was wrong with France? With France, why was Spain better tonight? Blah blah blah." And actually, to me, there's a simple answer, and that is humans are not robots. We talked about this in other subjects. We're
mm,
not robots. So one day we may be really good at something, whatever it might be, our job, our music, our anything. Another day, it all kind of collapses, it disintegrates, it just doesn't work. I mean, they're the two extremes, if you like, either brilliant or rubbish. And very often, most of us are somewhere on the spectrum within there, hopefully towards the better side. But France, so they didn't play as well. So what? I mean, it matters on the day. Whatever team does it on the day, they,
mm.
they tend to carry the prizes. But isn't that the magic of not just football, the magic of sport? That most of it is not predictable. I mean, I often refer back to my team, Crystal Palace, when early this year we lost in the FA Cup as FA Cup holders from the previous season to Macclesfield in Manchester, a sort of non-league team. You can say, well, how did that happen? But actually, FA Cup giant killings are the stuff that it's made of. It's always been a bit like that. People want to see the underdog come through and win. Now, on paper, no way were Macclesfield going to beat Crystal Palace. On the football field, they jolly well did, and good luck to them. And it was not pleasant as a Palace fan at the time, but this what the game is all about, and that's why predicting is a very difficult business. Now, you said France wouldn't get through, Spain would, and you proved to be right. And
Mm.
I would actually lay claim to something else, which is well evidenced by those who know me. Before a ball was kicked, and despite all these years of hope and optimism and expectation, it all crashes and goes to dust at these tournaments. My gut feeling, and it was a gut feeling, an intuition more than more than logic, really. I said before this tournament started, I actually think this is England's time. I think it just
Yes.
feels to me,
Yeah.
it just feels it just for various reasons that they're going to avenge all these years of hurt. And we've been so disappointed for so long. Now, of course, we may lose the match tonight, we might do, but I just have that feeling that we're going through beleaguered times. This country is a beleaguered nation for various reasons at the moment, and not good reasons. And I just think it will create the most massive lift for people in this country, patriotic people who love this country. If we were to win the World Cup, I think it would be a real shot, a positive shot in the arm. And I obviously hope we do. What does disappoint me, but I raised this, I only read it because to suggest that our players shouldn't need too much motivation. Now, there's a very good Talksport radio show called Simon Jordan and Jim White. Jim White is the host, and Simon Jordan used to own Crystal Palace. Is a
Mm.
very good pundit, if that's the word for him. He's a great speaker, great orator. And this post on Facebook by somebody called Sam Baines, I don't know who that is, and I don't really talk for the veracity that the authenticity of this, but it is under the Simon Jordan and Jim White Facebook page.
Mm.
And this chap Sam Baines says this. He says Messi, speaking about the Scottish support for Argentina ahead of their semi-final against England. I see you got that little smile on your face, that knowing smile of what's to follow.
Yeah.
Now, this is attributed to Messi, as to words he said. I don't say it's definitely the case, but the chances are, given the setup I've described, that it probably is. But let's not say it definitely is.
Mm.
Anyway, Messi is supposed to have said, I've always prided myself on my charity work and philanthropy. So if I can bring happiness to the Scottish people just by playing football, then I know I'm doing something right. It's all good so far. As a kid growing up in Argentina, you're told about the love the Scots have for Diego Maradona, of course.
Mm.
Probably because of the hand of God goal. That's probably why they love him. Anyway, Messi says they are united by their, and this if this is what he said, I find it's quite sad actually. But
Mm.
there we are. They're united by their hatred for the English, not the English fans, but for the English and their love for cheap alcohol and cocaine. But we have a job to do on Wednesday, and I'm just trying to focus on that. That is Messi. So very uncomplimentary words from him, and we know we some say it's banter. I think many Scots, not all, many Scots do hate English football and perhaps other elements of England for whatever
Yeah.
reason. They have the prerogative to do that. But I still find it a bit sad because you and I have said before that if, and it, they may say it's easy to say this, but I think we both mean it. If it was Scotland in a semi final and England were out, I think there would be a great many English people, not all, but a
Absolutely.
great many who would be supportive of Scotland or Wales because we would bring in our Britishness, and it is the UK, it's one of the home countries. But sadly, when
Absolutely.
it's England, often the home countries go and buy the shirts, the football shirts of the other side. And at the end
Yeah.
of the day, there's no point getting too upset about it because nothing's going to change that
No.
vitriol against us. But my point really is I don't believe our team, which is a very good team in my
Mm.
opinion,
Yeah.
although we didn't play as well the other day against Norway as we could do, but I think we did enough to win. But if our team need any more motivation to beat Argentina, not least history. We've had with a hand of God goal, which was not seen by the ref, where Maradona, brilliant footballer, simply put his arm up and pushed the ball into the goal, and it was so quick that the officials didn't see it. But it's always been known as the hand of God. And you read the history books on these things. And when we did win the World Cup, apparently our manager, who was Alf Ramsey, a very quiet and dignified man, apparently, he actually, after one of the games in that tournament, I don't know, I think England must have beaten Argentina during the route to the final.
Mm.
He called them animals after a game where our players were just being constantly kicked up in the air by their team. Now, I don't say any of that to inflame anybody, but there always has been a bit of a relationship between the English and Argentina, not least for political reasons as well, as we know
Yeah.
with the Falklands. But
Yeah.
this is a football match. The past is the past. I hope it's a match which is played in good spirit, in mutual respect. Yeah, Messi is a fantastic footballer, but if he's toadying up to one nation against us, well, that's his prerogative, as I say. But I think it it says more about him as a man if he has said that than it does about him as a footballer, where he is, of course, a brilliant footballer. So
Hmm.
it's going to be an interesting game tonight. Another angle, of course, that I think most people would, or dare I say, most people would think it's been made very clear that FIFA, the governing body of the World Cup, have
Mm.
wanted Messi and Argentina to get through to the final because the games along the way. I mean, in an early game, Messi, by virtually everyone's view, should have been sent off for a second bookable offence. He could have
Mm.
broken the leg of someone, having been booked once, but there's no way FIFA would have been happy. I'm not saying they fixed anything because I'm sure they haven't, but I think somehow the referees, the officials, probably are well aware that Argentina and Messi are wanted much higher, much deeper into the tournament, at least
Mm.
semi-finals and hopefully finals, and maybe to lift the trophy again. So it's
Yeah.
back to back because I think they won it last time, didn't they? Sure, they did.
They did. They are the defending
Yeah.
champions. Yeah.
So really, England have got every motivation, as if they needed any more motivation. I think our team are good enough to beat Argentina. It's going to be a tough game, and of course, at the end of it all, we may say, "Oh well, we tried our best. We did well. Got to the semi-final, and we were beaten by a better team." And if that's the case, well, at least we know that many Scots will be very happy, no doubt many other home nation
Yeah.
people, which they're entitled to their views. But I have a feeling, as I said at the beginning, that it's our time. It's England's time, and we've got some great players like Bellingham, Kane, and others who I think and hope will do the job for all the fans back home and all the fans, English fans, which are actually there in the stadium. I think
Absolutely.
it's in Atlanta tonight, isn't it? So
Yeah.
yeah, let's keep our fingers crossed, Cuz, that we have a great game, that we win in regulation time, and we don't have to go through the
Oh,
awfulness of a
penalties.
penalty shootout.
Oh yeah. My
I've
heart
never
of
been
it.
one to hide myself, but I think I'd have to go out the room. I don't think I could
All right.
stay and
Yeah.
watch it. It's that shattering, isn't it, to lose on penalties?
Oh, my heart can't take it. My heart cannot take it. Ah, do you know the last one where the last game we played against who did we knock out? Norway. We played
Norway,
against played against Norway, and it was 90 minutes, and it was we were level
yeah.
on goals. I said to my wife, I said I'm going to bed. She said, you what? I said I'm not watching this. I said this is gonna go into penalties. I just could not. I just want to sleep, not knowing the result, so I can sleep well.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I mean I think we scored in the 93rd minute, as far as I
We did.
remember it in
Yeah,
time.
we
But I
did.
mean, even that game, what has been a feature of this? I think because FIFA, in many ways, have created many problems for themselves, probably unwittingly. But almost after every match, certainly in the knockout phase, one team is complaining about unfair treatment, about wrong decisions. Now, you'll always get wrong decisions in football. For the most part, I don't believe it's ever intended that way. It's just, again, it's being human. Refs are human, like the players and like the rest of us. But in Norway's case, it did seem to be a bit churlish, I think is the word, a bit unnecessary, when they complained that apparently their goalkeeper's kick, the ball, they say, hit the camera wire. I don't know whether you read about that, but it hit the
Yeah.
cord. And in fact, what surprised many people, including me, was what FIFA said. They said no, because our sensor inside the ball. And you think, what? They're now putting sensors. I mean, the next thing would be a
Wow.
camera inside the ball, won't it? That'd be brilliant. Have a camera in the football, so when it's kicked, you can be zooming all over the pitch watching TV. But they said no, it didn't hit. No registration of a deviation in the flight, the trajectory of the ball. So, and
Wow.
that should have ended that complaint. But then the BBC got involved, and they seemed to show a clip. Well, I did look at the clip where they say the trajectory of the ball appears. You couldn't see the cord nor the ball;
No.
it's too high. But they said it appears to deflect very, very slightly. And again, that could have been rigged, but I don't suppose it was. But I wouldn't even say there was definitely a deflection. It was just, as it came down, it was just the slightest movement, which could happen in the flight of a football anyway. So
Yeah.
I would have thought, and they showed you the sensor in the ball, FIFA. So, which is really there. Any if it touches a player's knee and an offside might not be called because of that, or vice versa, they put that in there for that reason, and
Wow.
it showed no deflection of the ball at all. So that should have ended that kind of complaint. But one of the things, I mean, made me laugh really. Norway said England are cheats. Why is that? Oh, because the ball. Well, it's not England who awarded the goal or allowed the goal that Bellingham then went on to score. That was the point.
Yeah.
In the next phase of play, it's not England what are you going to do? No, we're not going to accept that goal, ref, because we think they're right. I mean, it's rubbish. And after every game, one team or another complains about what happens. Sometimes probably with good justification, but this is the nature of the game. I mean, when
Mm.
Argentina beat um, Switzerland the other night. I didn't watch it because I think it was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. But the reports afterwards seemed to say that every advantage possible was given to Argentina by the ref and the officials, and none of those advantages to Switzerland. Now, that's a very generalised comment for anybody to make, but I
Mm.
think we know what people are trying to say, that the 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 powers that be seem to be favouring the teams or the players they want to proceed, and no one, I think, is. I'm not suggesting anything's rigged. I don't think it is. I really
No.
don't, because they couldn't get away with that. But I think there's kind of a sometimes an invisible pressure put on the officials to, without even the words being said. Oh, we really want them to go further or whatever. So yeah, somehow we've got to. If that is there, that kind of unconscious bias, England have got to get past that tonight, and stick. Don't get frustrated if things go against us. Just keep going, and I think at the end of it all, I have a great feeling that we're gonna be victorious and end up in the final. I think it's in New York on Sunday. So let's hope we're going to be there.
I pray, because it'd be a good Sunday, wouldn't it?
It
Just
really will.
knowing you're
Yeah,
sitting down and watching England. You're not watching the final, so you're watching the
yeah.
final. You're watching England play in the finals. Wow. I would, yeah, yeah, I'd leave for that. Now, the next one that we're going to talk about is Sporting KC interested in Mohamed Salah. Now, it's a Sporting Kansas City have made Mohamed Salah their top target after his Liverpool exit. So now it's gone the opposite way, isn't it? Well, if it does materialize, because we know nothing is set in stone at this
Yeah.
stage with transfers, but it seems to be going the other way. We thought, well, I'll speak for myself. I thought he was going to go to Saudi. That's what I thought. I thought, well, all said and done, he's going to end up in Saudi. But America, what we thinking?
Mm. It's interesting because I wonder now, because enough players have gone to Saudi, and as far as I know, many of them are still there. Even
Mm,
Ronaldo, I believe, is still there. Um, but some have come back. I mean, Jordan Henderson, he of the broken wrist, poor bloke. He went and he came back. And I think the ex-Chelsea midfield player, whose name I can't remember, Count Conte, was it? He was a very good midfielder, but I think he's now back on the scene. I don't think he's at Chelsea, but I think he's come back. And maybe enough players now have made the return journey, some of them because they didn't like the climate. Even though you've got aircon everywhere and all that,
mm,
um, it's a different lifestyle totally. And not to say it's bad. It's probably a very nice lifestyle in a taxless haven like Saudi, but it won't be for all, and it won't be for some of their families. Now, that may mean that players who may otherwise have gone there for the dollar, for the pound, would think about it again, because many of these guys are towards the end of their career, so they're likely or possibly have a family who they wouldn't want to necessarily impose on that family a very uncomfortable climate, which for us in a moderate climate like this, we're not used to even the weather we've been having the last few weeks. Brilliant though I think it is, and I hope it
mm.
carries on for a while yet. So that may explain why some players are not automatically going there. Kansas City, well, the American soccer leagues, they're not they're not obviously as strong as the leagues in Europe or South America. They're just not. But it still will provide a very nice living for players of Salah's ilk and his ability, because he's clearly still a very good player. I mean, he's probably had his best time now as he gets older, which
Mm.
may be the problem at Liverpool. He didn't quite do it in his last season there.
Mm.
So I think that would be quite a good move for him. But again, it's a massive change of environment and culture, everything really, not so much culture, but a lifestyle for him and his family. So it's really down to whether these players are prepared to accept all that, obviously in exchange for a lot more money. Equally, most of them, they're all in the Premier League, are all multi-millionaires anyway. Money may not be quite the attraction that it would be if they were not of that level of finance.
Mm.
So yeah, I like Mo Salah. I think he did a great job at Liverpool. I think he did all right for Egypt in their World Cup, and I wish him well an
Mm.
English football fan. And we'll wait and
Yeah.
see what he does.
Yeah, wait and see what he does. Yeah. I was just taking aback a bit because I thought, yeah, it's probably going to end up in somewhere in Europe or
Mm.
Saudi. I didn't think America was on the cards for him, but we never know, do we? Now, the next one is Xabi Alonso confirms Garnacho will leave Chelsea. There is interest in him from other clubs. Hopefully he finishes in the best possible way for everyone. Now it sounds like they're chucking him out because there's no
Mm.
club that's named to have an interest in him. It just seems like, all right, so he's leaving Chelsea, he's leaving Chelsea. It was like what it just reminded me of what they did to, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, I'm just saying it's a similar kind of scenario with what they did with this ex-England, ex-Liverpool player. What's his name? Oof. He's gone to a
Not
club.
Henderson, not Henderson. You know, no.
No, he was at Chelsea, but he wasn't training with them at Chelsea.
Mm.
And he got sold. He used to play for England. He's a Liverpool lad, but anyway, it'll come to me in a minute. And it just sounded like the same thing they did to him, and he was
Mm.
at Chelsea actually. So he actually left Chelsea because he just couldn't stay there. He didn't fit in. He didn't fit in. Enzo Maresca wasn't using him. Oh, I'm thinking of his name now. Raheem Sterling.
Oh right, Raheem Sterling. Yeah, yeah,
Raheem
yeah.
Sterling, yeah. And he just couldn't fit in, so he was at Chelsea. And then they thought, well, we've got to offload him. We don't care where he goes, but leave the club. Now, the same thing is happening to Alexandra. Is it Alexandra or Alejandra Garnacho? I know it's Alejandra something, but
Yeah.
Garnacho. It seems like the same thing that's happening to him. What's wrong with this? What's wrong with the lad?
Well, I mean, I don't think I wouldn't think he's at the end of a contract because he's not been at Chelsea for more than, as far as I remember, what just his past season. So I imagine they would have given him a longer contract than 1 year, particularly at Chelsea, where they like longer term contracts to do with the financial side of things.
Hmm.
I don't think he was overly successful at Manchester United,
No.
Garnacho. I've seen him come on for Chelsea or play for Chelsea on TV, and he looks to have a lot of determination, enthusiasm. I think on his day he's quite a good player. He can go past people, but clearly Alonso doesn't see him fitting in with his plans. So that's it. Once a manager decides he doesn't want somebody, then they put them up for sale. Now, if it's not the end of his contract, he could legitimately say, "Well, okay, I'll sit on the bench then and still earn his money every week, every month, because
Hmm.
that's what would happen." But
Hmm.
most of these players in the Premier League, short of being forced into a position of sitting on the bench, they want to play football. That's their
Yeah.
livelihood. That's the game they love to play. So they would much rather be playing each week and keeping match fit than just sitting on a bench, so to speak.
Hmm.
So I don't know what the problem is with him. I think he's quite a good player from what I have seen of him. But, we don't see them training every day. We don't see their attitude. Some players won't have the right attitude. And, if a manager decides it's not for him, so be it. I mean, Palace have got a new manager, Pierre Sage, which I
Hmm.
think everyone's quite excited about. I think pre-season training began last week, I think, as it normally does, beginning of July.
Hmm.
Obviously, some players are away on the World Cup, but it's going to be quite interesting to see which players he wants to keep. Hopefully, he'll keep most of them, but maybe there's one or two he'll say, no, they're not fitting into what I want. So they'll be shed, they'll be, sold or transferred elsewhere if possible. So
Hmm.
new managers are bound to do that. I thought at that point, actually, I saw something earlier which I thought is kind of related to what we're saying. The top 10 Premier League's highest paid managers
Right.
just gives you an insight into it's just the top 10. Right, number one, tell me, guess who's the number one? Who
Pep
earns the most? And
Guardiola.
it does say what they earn as well.
Pep Guardiola, the departed Pep Guardiola. Depends on how current that list is.
Yeah, but of course, yeah, he's gone now, so that won't apply.
All right. Okay. So the second highest player would be
Highest
uh
manager, highest paid manager.
highest paid manager would be Mikel Arteta.
Very
Because
good. Yeah, and he's on 15 million a year. Okay, 15 million. Have a go. No, I won't ask you all of these because it's anybody's guess. But the number two probably won't surprise you.
would it be right, so Anna Slot's gone. Number two would be hmm, would it be Manchester United's manager?
No, it will be Crystal Palace's ex-manager, Nottingham Forest, 13
Oh,
million. Remember I
Oliver
said last week,
Glasner.
yeah, Glasner is on 13 million pounds a year on a
Wow.
3-year contract. So he's not doing too badly, is he? I wonder if that
No.
money swayed him to go to Forest. What do you think?
Yeah.
Right, and I'll
Yeah.
tell you what the others are. Number three, Chelsea Alonso, 13 million, same as Glasner. Number four, Enzo Maresca, Manchester City, he's on 12 million. And I suspect, as you suspect, that Guardiola was on somewhat more than that. But
Hmm.
Maresca, number four. Number five, De Zerbi at Tottenham, £12 million. Let's remember that's £1 million a month. And as far as I know, they're not saying it about these, but very often the club will also pay the tax, so that 12 million
Oh,
a
wow.
month is a net. But I don't know that they may not be paying the tax. Even if
Okay.
they're not, they're still a heck of a salary. Number
This,
six, Iraola at Liverpool now, 10 million. Number seven, Unai Emery, Villa, 9.5 million. Number eight, Eddie Howe at Newcastle, 9 million. Number nine, Michael Carrick at Manchester United, 6.5 million. And the last one, David Moyes at Everton, number 10, 5 million. Now, I imagine he might be marching into the owner's office after seeing this list and saying, Oi, I'm too experienced to be bottom of that top 10 list. But it is an eye opener, isn't it, into
it is.
the financial world football managers and, of course, footballers live in. I mean, it's a different planet for most of them, so that when they are fired, as many are with alarming regularity, they walk away with another boatload of money.
Hmm.
Probably one of the only jobs you can have that you can fail at and be given, as I say, a shed load of money. But good luck to them. We'll see if all of them earn their money in this coming season. But it's an eye opener into what these people earn. And as I say, players very often the top players are on even more significantly more than that.
Wow. That's quite a lot of money for players to be
Absolutely.
earning, for managers to be earning. Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, okay. Now, Nicholas Jackson is joining the tour in Asia, for the pre-season. And we're looking forward to him working with us. Now, I thought he was at I thought he was at Bayern Munich, Nicholas Jackson.
Yeah, just
Uh,
tell me again. You say joining the tour. What do you mean?
so this is Zabi Alonso saying Nicholas is joining the tour in Asia, and we're looking forward to
Oh, I
working with.
see. I
Yeah.
see.
So I thought they sold him outright, but he must have been there on
I
loan.
think he was on loan, wasn't he? He was,
Ah,
and he's
right.
obviously gone back. He's
So he
gone
was
back to
on
Chelsea,
loan.
hasn't he? Yeah.
So now he's gone back to Chelsea. Now he's going to be joining Chelsea again. What are we thinking of Nicholas Jackson?
Well, I mean, I can't. I'm no authority on him. I mean, I probably saw him play a handful of times. Um, I think he was one of that group with, say, Trevor Chalobah, who actually is
Yeah,
in the current World Cup squad. I think he was put in there as a replacement, and he's not a bad defender. He played at Palace on loan for a few months early last season,
right.
and so there was a group of them at that stage. I think, including Saka and others, the same sort of vintage, if you like, and. Yeah, he was very much a part of that group, and I think he used to come. He played, and as I remember, I don't remember anything that was bad about him. He just seemed to fit into the team quite well. But having been out in, as you say, I think it's Bayern, then
Hmm.
really we probably haven't caught up with his form. Or, I mean, clearly Alonso thinks he's good enough to bring him back and use him. But maybe he's saying with his joining our tour, and I'll be able to look at him firsthand and decide if I want to keep him. It may
Yeah.
simply be that.
Yeah, it might just be that, yeah. But he, with the with Bayern Munich's form, he must be doing well to,
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
featured in games, yeah. Now, what are we thinking of Rashford? He's obviously not.
You always bring him up. Yeah, go on.
What do
What were you
we
going to say?
what do we make of Rashford in the England team at the moment?
Well, neither you or I like to sit here on our weekly podcast
Hmm.
and have a go about somebody because at the end of the day, they're all doing their best. We're all humans. We're doing our best to survive, aren't we? To live, to enjoy, to be decent people, and in his case, to be a decent footballer. And he's go back over his career, mainly at Manchester United, but also more recently at Barcelona. He
Hmm.
clearly has been a very, very good footballer. I don't think anybody would doubt that. I think he almost engineered a bit of his own downfall, if that's the word, certainly at Manchester United, but by, as we said before, getting a bit involved in politics. And I don't doubt that he achieved some positive aims, results from that involvement. But I think football clubs, particularly the Premier League and other top leagues, they actually like to take care of everything for the footballers. So they've got nothing at all to worry about
Hmm.
except to play football, and any side matters are taken care of. Now, of course, footballers will still have things they worry about. It's the nature of life, but generally, it's all taken away from them. All other elements that could interfere. And really, Rashford kind of went outside of that. And I think Man United lost a bit of patience, so he went off to on loan once or twice, I believe, and wound up at Barcelona, where I think there were different stories coming out from that club last season. Sometimes it was, yeah, they're going to sign him permanently for X pound, X euros. And then it was no, they don't really fit it. He's not fitting in there. So on and so forth. And he then winds up in the England squad, which I think a lot of people, probably myself included, were a bit surprised about because I have a feeling, and as I say, I'm not knocking him. He's a very good footballer ultimately,
Hmm.
but I just feel he could be. Maybe he is. Maybe he isn't. I feel he's a bit of a divisive figure. Now he may fit in with the team, at the dressing room, brilliantly. What do I know? But generally, I would say I've been content that in the last few games, Tuchel hasn't started him. I think it would disrupt the team. He's basically got the team, which I hoped he would, that he feels can do this job, and then he tinkers with it with substitutions later in the game, which is how I think how it should be. But he starts with the squad we know he thinks is best. Just to say there, I think it's very frustrating that Quansah still has to serve his second game ban, which I
Hmm.
think many people will think is pretty atrocious. Yeah, it was a foul. It was a sending off foul, but it was no intent. I know intent doesn't always make a difference, but why
Hmm.
he got more than a one-game ban when we all know the USA player who was red carded following a political call from Trump, then Infantino, the president of FIFA, magically suspended the ban. And now, as it happened, the USA went on to lose 4-1, I think, to Belgium,
Yeah.
which was probably just as well. And maybe FIFA needed to thank their lucky stars that happened because if the USA had won, and I like the USA's team, it's nothing about that, but if they had
Hmm.
won playing a player who had been banned and there's no options really to suspend or cancel that ban, then it could have invalidated a lot of the World Cup thereafter because teams might
Hmm.
say, well, hang on a minute, like us, our players serving two matches. He's weakened our team by not being there. Certainly will tonight, arguably. And yet the USA was allowed to continue. So if they'd won and they were still there, it would create some problems. But
Hmm.
yeah, so I've deviated from talking about Rashford, I think. But yeah, I'm
Yeah.
pleased he's not in the team. If he comes on, and he gets down that wing and he crushes the ball or he scores, then brilliant. We all want him and all the team to do well. Nothing against
Mm,
that, but I
mm.
just feel he's not one of the better players.
No.
Maybe his day has passed. He's been a very good player. So yeah, I feel Tuchel should keep the team as it is.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, this is all we've got time for on this segment of the football referee. As we go on to the next segment, we hope you come along with us. I've been Emmy Hickins, and you've been watching the football referee segment one. It's a goodbye from me. So
Goodbye from me. See you shortly.
see you shortly. Yes.